All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first HappitChat for this autumn. So today we have the pleasure to have two guests from our dear partners from Graz, Austria, from Solvion. We have Thomy and Stephan with us today. So today we are talking about a very, very interesting topic, the role of AI in the modern enterprise. Thomy and Stephan, you have been talking about this topic now in many, many conferences during this year. So in that case, I think we can say that the interest in that whole topic is rising by the month, we could say. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely.
So the interesting thing is that, okay, how can we incorporate artificial intelligence or machine learning into our collaboration, into our daily work, and make our life as end users and as power users more efficient and more easy to actually be able to focus more on the interesting or more on the important and creative things than rather doing repetitive tasks. But that was a short intro to what we are going to talk about. Now I would like to give the word to our dear guests. So please, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Jussi. Yeah, let's start by introducing ourselves a bit. My name is Stephan. As you said, I'm from Graz, Austria. I'm working at Solvion as the technical lead. I'm more on the cloud side of things. I have a strong background in infrastructure, everything related to Azure and Office 365 infrastructure. It's my playground. I'm also an AI MVP since a couple of months, as I'm doing a lot of bot stuff, cognitive services stuff, and so on. And yeah, we run a few local meetups. Thomy and myself are co-organizers of the SharePoint Saturday in Vienna. So we're doing quite a lot of stuff in that community area as well.
Cool. Great to have you here.
Thanks.
Yeah, my name is Thomy. I'm basically the team lead here for everything towards SharePoint development and infrastructure. Myself, I have a background now for close to 10 years working with SharePoint as a developer, as a consultant, and now as a architect and team lead role. And together with Stephan and others, we are working with, or we have the pleasure to work with the community to provide SharePoint Saturday Vienna and some local meetups. But that's everything Stephan already said.
So let's dive into the topic. I'll start by explaining you a bit about the evolution of computers and IT before we go deeply into AI, because that's an important topic in order to understand where we were coming from and where it's going. As you might know, there were these desktop PCs in the 1980s where you had your PC standing on your desk or was located under your desk, and you could do some stuff with it, but it wasn't that developed as it is now. So you had most probably no internet connection. You could not communicate or collaborate with others. So you could only do stuff on your PC locally without the rest of the world. In the 90s, there was this invention called the internet, where you basically could connect with other servers and services and computers. You could visit websites, you could search for various things in the internet, and it was quite a bit an evolving step compared to the classic desktop PC. In the 2000s, you had the mobile area where everything was social, and all users could download apps from the app stores, and you could connect to other users via the social platforms like Twitter, like Facebook, and whatever. You could collaborate and communicate with others via your mobile devices or via your laptop and PCs. So this was basically the starting point where everything towards collaboration in the enterprise started as well. But what is actually the future holding for us? From my perspective, or from our perspective, it's about conversations. So it's about the natural language between people and the technology, the services and service or whatever. and it's about bots and digital agents.
So you're saying that basically we humans start to interact with computers as humans interact between each other.
Yeah.
So
correct.
It's not about finding information, putting information somewhere. It's more about conversations, and computers will have the ability and the means of actually respond in a meaningful way. So that is not only about search, it's more about conversations and actually making something out of the conversation. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah. It's not about clicking here, clicking there, doing this and that. It's about really talking or texting with a service, actually, like you would do it with your co-employees.
Yeah.
So that's the thing where it's going to right now. And if you look at the modern workplace, there you have the point where you need to introduce digital assistants in order to adopt to the conversation area right now. So we're talking about bots, which empower your employees to achieve more. Because bots can easily take over the daily routines in order to have your employees being able to do more innovative stuff rather than doing daily routines all the time. So actually, daily routines can be done by bots or digital assistants or any other service, and your employees will have the time and the, let's say, more fun stuff to do and innovative stuff, and this will bring your enterprise more forward.
Okay, so you're saying in that way that you could use digital assistants to empower or to enable employee support and performance support during the work that they're doing, by meaning they can ask questions, or the bots can actually deliver them the right content or information they would need right at the time where they actually need it. So this is what you are saying.
Correct. Yeah.
Exactly. So what do you think right now? Are we already there in that stage, or are we right now building that type of environment?
We're building that type of environment. We're like in a transition phase right now.
Yeah. That's what I see as well. A lot of companies, they still do it in the very, let's say, classical way, that you have training material somewhere, or you have your information spread out all over the intranet, or you have them somewhere in silos, and users have really, really big issues to find this information. So in that way, we can use the bot and the cognitive services to actually connect the dots, find information, use search to surface information, but then actually use the cognitive services to actually create context, the right context, and actually through the bot framework or through a digital assistant, in what type of way it will be, can actually bring it to the user in a personalized way.
Yeah, that's about it.
Cool.
And the point why we're like in the transition phase right now and why we aren't there yet is simply, if you look at what Microsoft offers in the AI area, there's a lot of services out there, mostly deployed within Microsoft Azure you could use. And many of those services are not that old. So if you think about the Azure bot services or some of the cognitive services, they're like 1 year old, but not older.
Yeah.
So therefore, it was a bit of a challenge for enterprises or for companies to adopt to those services, as they're like rather slowly in adopting to new services and things like that. So that's why we're right now in the transition phase. But if you look at this slide here, it's not only about bots and it's not only about cognitive services. When you speak about AI, it's about really more. I mean, you could utilize some machine learning services in order to get the meaning out of data, which has nothing to do with bots in the first place. Of course, you could connect those services as well.
Okay. Stephan, now a little bit of a tricky question. I'm sorry. The term AI, it's really, I mean, it's a really powerful term, right? It's artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's more rather, let's say, a marketing term right now? Because me personally, I still doubt that it's really artificial intelligence in the background, being intelligent like a human being. Isn't it more that it's more like deep learning, machine learning, or more like pattern recognition, made more accessible to the food folk like we are? Or how would you respond to that question?
Yeah, definitely like a buzzword nowadays, AI, artificial intelligence, it's used everywhere right now. But the point is, and all the big vendors like Microsoft, Amazon, Google, whatever, they have, as you said, they found a way in order to bring really decent technology and services which require a lot of effort to implement or a lot of know-how in the backend side. They found a way in order to deploy or to spread the word and get all the users used to it and using it. If you think about how easy it is to set up a bot in Azure, it's like 1 hour task and you're done. I think some years back, this was a really hard task, and you need to have like some developers who understood their tasks and their abilities. So it was a bit of a challenge back then compared to now.
Yeah, I mean, you know our session from Marcel and myself in the SharePoint Saturdays. There we say it also. Nowadays, it's just so much easier to make, let's say, business apps more smarter. But me personally, I wouldn't use the term AI because AI is a really, really powerful thing.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I mean, the path is going towards that direction. At some point, the software and the algorithms will become so sophisticated that they can get close to human intelligence. Maybe even at some point, we will experience singularity, as you say, when the artificial intelligence gets more intelligent than humans. Let's see if we will still be alive then. Let's see. But this is definitely where we are heading right now, and using those tools is a very, very smart and easy way to actually create services and applications which help the end user tremendously to save time and then money in the end.
Yeah. The big challenge right now is not to use those services, but to use them in a productive way. So it's use case driven. You cannot deploy bots for everything. It's the use case and the business problem behind it.
Yeah. That's the hardest part to figure out. I mean, you said it in your session as, okay, we need a bot, we need blockchain, and we need cognitive services. So let's do something with it. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So you really need to think, okay, where can I create value the most out of this? And how can I use it to create value for the business or for the user, which then creates value for the business? And that is the main goal, what you need to achieve.
That's it.
Cool.
So, if we talk about AI or these things in the modern workplace, we definitely need to talk about bots and cognitive services. So what is actually a bot? This is a definition from the Cambridge Dictionary, where it says a bot is nothing more than a computer program designed to have a conversation with a human being, and that especially over the internet, of course. Mm-hmm. So it's nothing more than a computer program or service you need to develop. It's place, but you need to make the service intelligent. And therefore you need to make use of some services like the cognitive services we'll talk later on, in order to have like your bot being able to understand written language, understand images, for example, or understand speech. Mm-hmm. So that's how it is. And Microsoft offers the Microsoft Bot Framework in order to build and deploy bots, where you have some key areas like the channel area, which is basically the front end to users. So what you see here is a snippet of the channels you can pick up right now. You can pick like the Microsoft channels like Teams, Skype, Office 365, Cortana, whatever. But you can also utilize Slack, Facebook Messenger, or you can integrate your bot in any other platform via direct line, where you basically just exchange the message data with your platform then.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you need to have some kind of service which actually makes your bot intelligent. And these are in the Microsoft speaking, the cognitive services, where you have a couple of categories for text, speech, knowledge, search, whatever. And inside each of these categories, you have various services you can connect your bot to. And for the backend side, there is usually the hosting platform is Microsoft Azure, but you can host your bot wherever you want to. For building bots, you can right now use .NET or Node.js when we talk about the Bot Builder SDK version 3, which is the channel platform is Microsoft Azure, but you can host your bot wherever you want to. For building bots, you can right now use .NET or Node.js when we talk about the Bot Builder SDK version 3, which is the general available version right now. They're working on the version 4, which will be released soon, where you're going to have the ability to not only use .NET or Node.js, but you can use Java and Python as well. So it's like basically a very open area here where Microsoft tries to get more and more developers into this kind of development stack.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about the Microsoft Bot Framework. If you think about developing with the Bot Framework, you always have to think about how to design your conversations, because that's the key thing your users will be confronted with. So for the conversations, a good bot is not only a texty bot. So your bot should understand or should be able to interact with the users in a more natural way. As you can see here, a bot can also talk with or text with your users using rich attachments like cards, like images, videos, whatever. So it makes the conversation more interactive and more human-like than when only exchanging text to text.
So, Stephan, just a quick question before we move on to the examples. Do you really need to be a developer to create bots and use cognitive services, or is also, let's say, a non-developer, but let's say a power user like me able to do this?
It depends heavily on the use case. For let's say if you have like a simple use case where you want to have your Q&A list connected to a bot, then you could easily do it without any heavy developer skills. If you think about connect your bot to a, I don't know, local database or whatever, of course you need some development skills in order to build your bot the right way.
You were talking about Q&A. There is a service out there. I think it's called QAmaker.ai. Is it that one?
Yeah, it's that one.
So the QAmaker.ai you can use as a non-developer to create a Q&A bot experience for basically anything, right? Yeah.
It's basically one of the cognitive services you can utilize, and offers you the ability to have like build a knowledge base in an online portal, or you can even use a knowledge base which is deployed or which is hosted on your public facing website. Then QAmaker just sets up the knowledge base, and you can then from your bot ask the QAmaker API if you have a question, and the QAmaker API will deliver the results.
Cool. And that's totally free, right? Or does you need to pay something for that?
There's a free price pricing plan with some limitations concerning the size of the knowledge base, but there's also a paid version as well.
Right. Of course.
And as we talk about cognitive services, we've talked about the Q&A maker for bots. It makes sense to use the language understanding cognitive services, which was initially called LUIS, for really understanding the user's intent and have like a dialogue-based conversation then. But you can also combine any of those cognitive services depending on your use case. So you could basically have language understanding and translator text combined, where you basically can then understand the intent and translate the input in order to trigger something in the backend side as well in your favorite language.
So just to explain quickly to the audience, LUIS is just not a random name. It means language understanding intelligence services, right?
Yeah. They changed the name recently to just language understanding. So, but the abbreviation is still the same. Yeah.
So LUIS became Lou in that case.
Yeah. LUIS became Lou.
Cool. Thanks, Stephan.
So let's move on to some examples on the AI side in the modern workplace.
Cool. Looking
which
forward.
will Thomy talk about in the next couple of minutes.
Okay. We start with probably somebody already heard about this Microsoft presentation translator. I think they used it at Build Conference last year, where they started the service, and someone starts it with a click in your PowerPoint. You have a written extension where you say, okay, start presentation translator. And then there's a service behind, with mobile apps for Android and iOS. I'm not sure about the Windows mobile platform anymore. But with this service, basically what you're doing is that the speaker talks to his phone, and the machine learning in the background translates the speech to whatever language you selected on your device as an output language. I saw it at the Build Conference via stream, but I saw it live last year when Michael Knoll actually pulled this off at one SharePoint Saturday. And I used it myself last year at SharePoint Saturday in Barcelona. And afterwards, I asked the audience, the Spanish, how good was it? Was it understandable? Given the fact that my English maybe isn't the yellow of the egg, as we say in German. It's not maybe the best, but the answer was like, it's like TechNet English. So, it's the same Bing translator service, behind. So you can get the meaning. It's like okayish good, but not word by word. So nothing you can use for, setting up a contract, for example, but to getting across your point, during a speech, I think it's a really, really good, service. Yeah. And Michael Knoll, we all know him as the world traveler, one of the world travelers in the SharePoint community. He also uses the translator apps for going to China and making a phone of some signs, for example, and getting back information. I think across Europe, it's not the problem to understand the different languages from the terms, but when you have no clue about the language, then this service comes in really handy, I think.
I think the first time I have seen it in the last SPS Lisbon, when Martina Grom was giving her presentation, and she was using it, and then people started to, okay, please switch it off because it's distracting.
Yeah.
So, but you say it right. I mean, to get about the context, what it is about, I think nowadays it's good enough. But to really have a real-time translation service, it's maybe still not there. We use the translation service to translate documents from, let's say, English to another language, and this works pretty well. So when it's kind of not real-time, but more, let's say, from text, then it works pretty good.
Yeah, it can get more information, more context, and use better terms, of course. Okay, moving forward, we have on the next slide, the Office 365 Intelligent Search. Of course, Microsoft is also using AI in the background to provide more meaningful results in terms of search. So discover people and content and learn more about the people you work with. To be totally honest, this is a point where I I don't see that kind of artificial intelligence behind. This is like going through a graph and look who's next or close to you. And when we're totally honest, I think this slide looks like with the same bullet points like 2010 or 2013. Personal search, discover people, context around you. So it's not nothing brand new. But of course, more and more they use services from Azure also in the background to get more meanings out of your Office 365 data. Okay, moving forward. Okay, this is funny because now we have we just to get the audience a clue. I said this slide needs to be updated like a couple of minutes before we started the web podcast, but now we had the wrong image taken because the SharePoint Mobile App also was announced like last week from Mark Cashman, and this is actually the old picture of the Find Me tab. Now in the new version, this Find Me tab is not three screens but one screen, and also the blog post talks about how to use AI in the background to make your search experience also on a mobile phone more meaningful, more powerful on the go, on the iPad, on the iPhone, and on Android. So check out the blog post from Mark Cashman with all the details there. Also on the next slide, we see something with on the mobile where you take a picture of a bill, for example, and extract information. We all know the OneNote or the Office Lens applications from a couple of years ago, where they crop the image, they changed the color space a little bit to get the best out of the image for you as a user. Yeah, whiteboards, bills, documents. You can use your phone like a scanner and go through. It's like when you remember it, the James Bond movies from the 90s, where they have these small devices they use to make photographs of documents. For me, it feels like using it now on your phone. Just to make sure you don't lose the information that is stored on some paper.
We arrived in the James Bond area.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for my car, but
getting there.
Yeah. Okay. And the next example is like Cortana. This is actually it hit us this weekend at SharePoint Saturday in Stockholm, where during our preparation and when you prepare your session, of course, you start presenting it and you stop and present again and stop and present again. And PowerPoint for sure has no clue when you now finally do your talk. But after the first time I started presenting, a short message popped up in PowerPoint that, hey, you have an appointment called SharePoint Saturday Stockholm. Seems like you're presenting somewhere. Do you want to share your slides with all the people in this appointment?
Oh, cool.
So and Stephan and I were like, what is this now? But then we realized, okay, there is an appointment we made for ourselves. And when I click on share, I would have shared it with Stephan and myself, so not a big crowd. But I think it's a good feature for if you're presenting or if you're giving workshops, for example, to remind you that afterwards you should send out the handout and then you have everyone in the appointment already there. And of course, there are a lot of other features that Cortana is capable of, like when you I think for this web chat or for this HappitChat, we had some conversations in emails, and at some point in time, I said something like, I will get back to you on this and then, and Cortana is connected on my services, so it put up a reminder and said, hey, you said to Jussi, you call him or you text him on this and this day. This is pretty useful. And like Stephan showed us a couple of slides before, you can also use Cortana as one of the channels in your bots, so you have it integrated in your Windows environment. Okay, and the last demo is something inside of one of our portals, where we use a small bot that's called Sally, because Sally works at the sales department on our end. And the idea is that behind Sally is here on the bottom right here. It's basically an FAQ where we have questions and answers stored in German, so a simple Q&A maker connected to a SharePoint list. SharePoint list has two columns. One is the question, one is the answer. Some Azure function magic behind the scenes connects the document library or the SharePoint list with the Q&A maker, so whenever somebody updates it, it is connected. And then the translation service kicks in, because you can ask her in German and she will answer in German, but you also can ask her in, I don't know, what you feel like English it is. you can ask her in English and you will get back the answer in English. And what happens behind the scenes is that the translation services detects the sentence in English or the question in English, translates it to German, and then gets back the answer in German, translate the answer back, and hopefully it should show now in the bot the answer. Okay. Demo bots are not with us today.
Just to explain the audience, there's quite a lot of happening right now in this picture. So we have Valo Internet as the internet solution. Everyone should check this out. Pretty cool what those guys are doing. We have here a bot where we can communicate and ask about FAQs. Plus we have an in-text learning solution which shows us useful information about what you can do in the internet.
Yeah. So
now the answer came. Yeah.
Now the answer came.
The combination of all the services in one screen, so to speak.
Yeah.
And now we tried on Spanish and to see, she answers now, probably, I'm not a Spanish speaker, but probably in the simple, Spanish, like TechNet translations are done. But for us, it's, a good example, to show that with the help of bots and the combination of a tool like Happit, you can drive user adoption, I think, to a next level. And without the need of long documentations or a lot of face-to-face end user trainings. They are good and relevant, but on the go and with the recent updates and everything is more agile now. I think those tools in combination can really drive the user adoption.
Yeah, thanks. I think with that statement, we can close this HappitChat. I would like to thank you, Stephan and Thomy, a million times that you had time to do this HappitChat. It was like always a pleasure to talk with you guys. Let's stay tuned for more updates.
Okay.
Bye. See you soon, guys. Bye.